I'm sure you would agree with me that the world is changing, and I'm sure that you would also want to move with the change that is happening. So, in this episode of the Wealth Nation podcast, we're talking about the major changes that are happening in the world and how you can make some money from the changes that are happening.
Welcome to the Wealth Nation podcast, a podcast for every mother, daughter, grandmother, sister, and wife, and the men who are smart enough to tune in. The Wealth Nation podcast brings you all you need to know about investments, business, property investments, personal finance, and all around financial wellness. Here is your host, Yolanda Rose.
Thanks for joining me on another episode of the Wealth Nation podcast. I am Yolanda Harry-Prasad, a wealth advisor for Solomon Wealth. And on this podcast, we give you easy, actionable tips, content, and strategies that you can use to manage your money well and build generational wealth. Please link up with us on our various social media platforms, Financially Fabulous Females, on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, and link up with us, share with us. What would you like to know? Email me. If there's something specific that you would like me to discuss on this platform, reach out. It's Yolanda at financiallyfabulousfemales.com. The Wealth Nations podcast is sponsored by Solomon Wealth Management. Solomon Wealth Management is an innovative team of wealth managers that addresses the entirety of your life, your family, your business, your future, one facet at a time. We use our skill and expertise to the consideration of what you have accumulated, how best to administer it through life's changes, from financial counsel on managing your wealth to careful contemplation of how to transfer it to future generations. It's your vision combined with our skill and expertise to help you reach financial excellence. Reach out to Solomon Wealth Management at www.solomonwealth.co.za for a free wealth management consult. So, big changes happening in the world. And I know the world seems to be moving at such a fast pace. How do we catch up? How do we adapt to the changes, and how do we adapt and survive in this changing environment? Well, there are four major things that are happening. First is the technological advancements. Now, there's increase in connectivity. Everywhere you go, you're in a Wi-Fi zone. And this sort of access to connection and to data is enabling machine-driven insights that basically change how we operate. And with a lot of younger people becoming more savvy with technology, how we do business is changing. Okay, and new opportunities are emerging. And I did speak about this last year with the lockdown and how significant e-commerce is going to be. And this is the technological drive that's pushing that. And how are you adapting? Have you made the switch? Are you buying more goods online? Especially now we are on the third lockdown. Technology is changing how we do business. And if you're a new client, you know that most likely we haven't met face to face. And it's most likely we're not going to meet face to face in the next year or so. And we're all been doing business online. A field like financial advisory used to be one-on-one, where I would come and see you, we would chat, we'd have some coffee, I'd understand your goals. But now we're just Zooming. We Zoom everything. So the world is changing. How people are doing business are changing. How is your industry adapting to that? How is your household adapting to that? When it comes to your kids, the type of education exposure that they have, are they being ready, or are they being groomed for the fourth industrial revolution? Okay, the second thing is environmental sustainability. And we hear about global warming. Every time we switch on a TV, there's a hurricane somewhere, flooding, and all of these things are happening. And these are urgent threats of climate change and damage to the environment that leaves global economies with no choice but to turn to green alternatives for energy, for food, for transport. So there's a major shift happening with the type of energy that is being produced.
Raising financially savvy children involves teaching them a variety of skills, from budgeting to planning to earning and saving. Besides giving them an understanding of the value of a rand, it prepares them for real-world finances. Financial literacy is a vital skill, and it is never too early to teach your kids about money. Many parents wonder how they can teach their kids about money, and where to find age-appropriate resources. You can now purchase the Financial Literacy for Kids workbook, which is aimed at primary school kids. It's now available at www.financiallyfabulousfemales.com. This workbook provides you with 12 lessons, activities, lesson plans, discussion points, and quizzes that you can use to test your kids' knowledge. Shop now at www.financiallyfabulousfemales.com.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by subscribing on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Tuned In. Now back to the show.
And in South Africa, we have our beloved Eskom, and we're forced to look at other solutions. We're going into solar power and things like that. So the environment, energy consumption is changing because of climate change. Then it's the future of healthcare. And specifically, we're looking at the genomics and the precision medicine that are set to revolutionize healthcare. And I remember a couple of years ago sitting in an investment seminar with Momentum, and they were showing us some of the technology that's coming out and what their investment teams are working on investing in because of these changes, where there are companies that are working to clone organs. So instead of there being a waiting list for organ donation, your heart, lungs, kidneys, and all of that, there are companies that are able to synthetically create these organs in a lab and transfer it into your body. This is a major change. This will see people living longer. Imagine not being on a waiting list. I mean, if you have friends or family on a waiting list that are waiting for organ, you know how tough this can be. And all of this is now happening on a lab. And they're showing us these videos. I was like, wow, this is actually happening. I mean, in a couple of decades' time, I could easily get an organ transplant and extend my life by 10, 20 years. This is the reality, and it will soon become a normal thing. Obviously, it's going to be very expensive at first, but as time goes on, it's going to be more and more affordable, like the DVD player. When it first came out, it was thousands of rands, but now it's like you use it a year or two and then you get a new one. So the future of healthcare is changing with the innovation, the economic efficiencies in gene mapping and sequencing are making more personalized medical treatments with improved outcomes, the new status quo. And if you look at a company called CRISP and the gene editing that they're doing, and I know if you're somebody like me who's more on the conservative side, I don't believe that we should be involved in that kind of thing. I mean, we are created in God's image. And there we have a company like CRISP that is going and making changes to our genes, where they literally can eliminate these diseases from our body. Well, great if you want to live longer, but for me personally, I don't want that kind of thing for myself. And the last mega trend that's happening is the new age consumer. Millennials are becoming the world's most powerful consumer force with 2.3 billion people. Millennials are the largest consumer cohort. And as they enter their prime earning years and increase their spending, they will drive the new age consumption. Now, millennials are not known to do well with money and saving. And if you read reports, you'll find that millennials most likely will not be owning homes and things like that. But they do have significant buying power. And if you are in business, you gotta find a way to attract these kind of consumers. So these are the 4 mega trends that are happening in the world that are shaping the world in terms of business and how we live. But how does it really affect you? How can you make money from this? Well, Goldman Sachs, the American asset management company, has introduced a very new, innovative investment opportunity that's currently available to South Africans by giving us access to a range of sector-based portfolios designed to give you exposure to these trends that I've been speaking about. So in this fund, these funds invest in companies that are focused on meeting the needs or meeting the demand of these 4 mega trends that I spoke about. So these trends are widely recognized that these trends are going to be shaping the world going forward. And in doing so, they have set a profound influence on how we address some of society's biggest challenges, and they will create immense opportunity for investors in the future. So these kind of thematic or sector investing can be better positioned for portfolios for the future. Now, this is the reality. I mean, all of this is happening overseas, of course, and the South African equity market is only 1% of the global market. And that doesn't, if we only focused on South Africa, that doesn't really give us much exposure to what's going on overseas in terms of these 4 global megatrends. So there's this new fund that you can invest in to capitalize on what is shaping the future of the world. So the nice thing here is that you can invest in this fund. It's called the Goldman Sachs Global Trends Fund. It's only available through one provider in South Africa, and you can invest in this in these rands or in US dollars. And it's basically a fund, like how you invest in everything else. Because the changes are happening, the shares in these companies will soar. And as those shares soar, your units in the Global Trends Fund will soar as well. And that's how you will make a profit. So obviously you want to be in this for a long term. It's a great investment for kids and grandkids who will really see the full force of the 4th Industrial Revolution. With the Global Megatrends Fund, investors will have access to global artificial intelligence, which is expected to grow by $190 billion in just 4 years' time. And companies are catering to the world's 2.3 billion millennials when they start developing these kind of technologies. I mean, this kind of fund is not for the short term. That might last a couple of years or so. This is something that you want to be in for the next couple of decades. So obviously, if you're younger and you're listening to this, this is something that should be catching your attention. And if you want to be investing for your children and grandchildren, this is the kind of segment that you need in your portfolio. And if you're really looking for portfolio diversification, this is a great way to do it. I know we just wrapped up our segment on index funds, but if you are looking to diversify a little bit more, a lot of these companies are not in the big indexes as yet. So you're buying them on the cheap and you're waiting for the 4th Industrial Revolution to basically hit you in the face, where you can make some really good returns with the basic changes that are happening in the world today. All right, so if you want to wet your feet with the Global Trends Investment Fund, reach out. I can assist you and set up this investment for you. It's Yolanda at financiallyfabulousfemales.com, or go to our wealth management website, www.solomonwealth.co.za, and click on the Get Started button.
Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to visit our website at www.financiallyfabulousfemales.com and sign up for our free investment masterclass.